Another monumental performance from Christopher Plummer, a fond remembrance of Mr. Rogers, and a new box set that just might make you change your mind about Jerry Lewis. I'm Bill Newcott, film critic for the Saturday Evening Post. All that and more on this week's podcast, Movies for the Rest of Us.
Oh, you finally called me back.
You got kicked out of your home, didn't you?
We can't have men of such low moral integrity bringing down the place.
Oh, please.
There seems to be no stopping Christopher Plummer these days. Even at 90 years old, he just keeps finding one engaging new role after another. This time he stars as Vera Farmiga's rascally old dad in Boundaries, a charming new road comedy written and directed by Shanna Fest. Plummer plays the guy whose nose for a good scam made him an absentee father to his daughter, but now he's asking her and her son to drive him all the way down the Pacific coast from Washington State to Los Angeles. Supposedly it's to move in with his other daughter, played by the always delightful Kristen Schaal.
Needs a place to stay.
Last time Dad stayed with me, the FBI followed me to work for a week.
But as always, Dad's got ulterior motives, one of which is to drop in on an old pal, played by the ageless Christopher Lloyd.
Who are these people?
Old friends of your grandfather's. Don't inhale anything.
Boundaries may be a shaggy dog story about a shady old dog, but the lively cast makes it one fun ride.
Family, that's all there is.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
I want to tell you something.
What would you like to tell me?
I like you.
I like you, my dear. Thank you very much for telling me.
Director Morgan Neville, who won an Oscar for his documentary 50 Feet from Stardom, says he was a little worried when he embarked on making Won't You Be My Neighbor, a film about children's television legend Fred Rogers. His greatest fear? That Rogers, who died in 2003 after a lifetime of showing children the virtue of kindness, would turn out to have been something less than he appeared to be.
Love is at the root of everything. All learning, all relationships, love or the lack of it.
Well, he didn't need to worry. Won't You Be My Neighbor confirms that Fred Rogers was, in fact, virtuous in ways that transcended his kid-friendly TV character. In a culture that worships anti-heroes both on screen and in real life, Won't You Be My Neighbor celebrates the fact that it is indeed possible to be both nice and interesting.
The greatest thing that we can do is to help somebody know that they're loved and capable of loving. Please won't you be my neighbor?
You know, the movie theaters are all pretty much kids-only zones as the summer approaches, but this week there are some very interesting DVDs and Blu-rays coming out. Here are my home video quick hits.
I gave a letter to the postman.
I don't think anyone could argue that Elvis Presley made any really good films. They were mostly showcases for his easy charm and video playlists of his latest songs. A new box set called simply Elvis Presley 5 Films packages some of his more engaging outings, starting with G.I. Blues, the film that marked the King's return from his 2-year stint in the U.S. Army.
Fire! On the way.
Wise men say only fools rush in.
Most of these films were directed by Norman Taurog, a journeyman filmmaker who'd started making movies in 1920, and he brings an old-fashioned, somewhat stilted approach to Elvis comedies.
I went and bought myself a ticket and I sat down in the very first row.
There's at least one meta scene in G.I. Blues in which Elvis, playing a soldier named Tulsa McLean, gets into a barroom brawl when someone punches up a recording of some guy named Elvis Presley singing Blue Suede Shoes.
One for the money, two for the show. What are you doing? Three to get ready. What you want to do? But honey, lay off of my shoes and don't you step on my blue.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is CINERAMA.
Until September 30th, 1952, movies were almost exclusively shown as a square image. But that night, at New York's Palace Theater, the curtain on the movie screen opened and opened and opened, revealing the widest movie screen audiences had ever seen. This is CINERAMA, hosted by Lowell Thomas, gave birth to the widescreen movies we take for granted today. Now, This Has CINERAMA has been released as a fully restored Blu-ray disc with a special Smile Box presentation that approximates the wraparound screen experience that thrilled audiences more than 60 years ago. It's not the same as sitting there in the Palace Theater, but if you sit close enough to your TV, you can get some idea of what it was like to see the movies change forever.
Evil can only be overcome with good. You still don't believe it?
The gritty biblical epic, Paul, Apostle of Christ, focuses on the early days of the Christian church in Rome under the persecution of Nero. There's lots of action and drama, but the film's most powerful scenes involve two actors confined in a prison cell debating the nature of God and the value of faith. Game of Thrones star James Faulkner plays the imprisoned Paul. Person of Interest star Jim Caviezel plays the gospel writer Luke.
This world doesn't know a thing about love.
Their encounter provides a graphic glimpse into the questions people of faith have been asking themselves and each other for 2,000 years.
You know, Mr. Novak, I'm so excited. I've never seen a movie star up close before.
Good, enjoy yourself. And it's Jerry Lewis. Oh, Mother used to take me to see him when I was just a kid. It's on the 5th
floor. The new DVD box set Jerry Lewis, 10 Films, may not convince you that Jerry was among the greatest filmmakers of all time, but it does make the convincing argument that he was one of the most distinctive.
Privacy, because I had a terrible mishap just a week or so ago in the family. An aunt died, and I...
Nothing like a laugh.
Hey, when you get the bluesy.
When you get the...
It starts with The Stooge, his first big screen pairing with Dean Martin.
Who's your little hoosie? Oh, do you?
Love, love.
Oh, love.
Then moves rapidly into his solo work.
Stand back, baby. Or you're gonna get some of this. I wouldn't strain myself for the world. Well, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. Happy muscles.
Yes, I certainly do.
If you want to understand Jerry Lewis, I'd suggest you get a hold of this box and go directly to his own personal Citizen Kane, the 1960 comedy The Bellboy, the first film he ever directed. Written over a weekend, shot at a busy Miami Beach hotel, and edited and released in a matter of weeks, The Bellboy is an explosion of ingenuity, a film informed by the likes of Buster Keaton, Laurel and Hardy, and the French master Jacques Tati. 3 years later, Lewis would make his most accomplished film, The Nutty Professor, but The Bellboy stands as a flash of genius that drew upon what came before and influenced everything that came afterward.
Я больше не хочу.
On its surface, the moody, powerful Russian film Loveless follows a bitterly feuding, soon-to-be-divorced couple who are so consumed by their hatred for each other and their lust for their lovers that they fail to notice that their young son has been missing for an entire day.
Алёша Слепцов, 12 лет.
The pair's circular pursuit of the immediate at the expense of what really matters is a microcosm of the relentless cycles of self-destruction that consume not only people, but also nations. Well, that's our podcast. For more on the movies, come to SaturdayEveningPost.com/movies, and for all my reviews, interviews, and videos, come to my website, moviesfortherestofus.com. For the Saturday Evening Post, I'm Bill Newcott.